Alright, how you doing? Welcome to the next video in the Soldier of Fortune 2 Unknown Edition series. Just a quick one for you this time, and to show you the near completion of the conversion of OpenSoF2MP to 64-bit. There is one bit of code I want to show you, but we'll just jump straight into the game. So, as you can see, RSP, RCX, RAX, RDX, definitely 64-bit, just in case there's any doubt. In the last video, there was one thing I had to do with the UI, which is the skinning the model there, and as you can see, that's fixed. What it was, there was a sorting algorithm that sorted two columns of integers using an int pointer, change it to a long pointer, and it sorts two columns of longs, and that fixed it. So we'll jump straight into, let's just go to Jordan Market Siege. Now this isn't Soft2, this is OpenSoF2MP, so it is created with rivercrew.net, and they did a lot of good work, but they stopped development in 2014, so for all the code that's there, it's converted, but obviously there's not a complete game, so there's no remote server code, there's only local server code. So when you start a local server, the server and the client are talking to each other, and that's all complete and converted to 64-bit, but there's no remote server code. So as you can see, all the movement is working, and there is one bug here. If I fire the grenade launcher, it blows up over there, which is a vector problem. The right vector has been passed into the forward vector somewhere in the code. Now I'll get to that. There is a couple of bugs in it still, but everything is working other than that. And that bug is the same for the grenade, which in that instance just disappeared. So I like doing that. Everything else is working now. I don't really play games that much anymore, but I do reminisce sometimes over the old Soft2 days. I used to have a LAN round in my mate's basement, and a Friday night we'd go down and have a game of Soft2. Anyway, that's the game pretty much, the conversion pretty much complete. So we'll come out of that, and we'll have a little talk about this. We'll have a little talk about the code. So, the one thing I wanted to show you in the code, as I've said before, there's three switch statements, one for the UI, one for the server, one for the client, and this switch statement is like a connection between the virtual machine memory space and non-virtual machine memory space. So, and to accommodate the move from a 4-byte memory address to an 8-byte memory address, all data structures held within the virtual machine had to be doubled. So therefore, if it's just an integer, it becomes a long, it's not a problem. But if it was a struct like this one here, shared entity underscore t, that had to be doubled to shared entity double dbl underscore t, and all its members had to be doubled. So car to wcar, integer to long. So as long as the VM code accesses the VM memory, and it's only in these switch statements that the VM code accesses anything outside the virtual machine, then there's not a problem. You just create functions that accommodate the doubled data structures, and that's it. However, in this function here, sv underscore locate game data, which takes a shared entity and a player state entity in virtual machine memory, so they're doubled in size, there was a bit of a problem. Normally what I would do is I would take the doubled structure, just convert it to a normal structure and pass that into the function, and the function does all its stuff. But what happens in this function is the pointer to the structure in the virtual machine memory is passed into a global variable, a non-virtual machine variable. So what you have is a pointer to a doubled structure that is then used in non-VM code, and all non-VM code expects it to be a normal structure. So that's a problem. What I had to do is, anywhere G entities was used, you had to test if it was VM or not, if it was an address in VM. So I created a function called VM underscore is VM address, And all that basically does is gets the VM table, which is an array of pointers for the 3 VMs, and just gets the database start and end address and says, does this pointer, this address lie within the database of any of the 3 VMs? And if it does, returns true, and if it doesn't, returns false. And first of all, it was just a matter of doing it anywhere gentities was used, but then it became apparent that anywhere a particular structure was used, you couldn't be sure whether it was going to be VM or not. So the 4 structures that I eventually had to test for their address to see if it's in the VM memory space was player state, entity state, shared entity, and entity shared. And if I do a find all references on this function, it will show you how many times that test had to be run. As you can see, it's 157 times that function is run, and that's what happens when you pass a pointer to virtual machine memory space into a non-VM variable. It has to be tested every time it's used, so that's problematic. So don't do that. Don't pass VM pointers into non-VM code. Anywhere the VM is used, anywhere the VM data structure is used, the double structure is used, make sure, and the VM code is okay, but non-VM code has to be tested. So I will put that back. That function, locate game data, is the only place that happens, so that was okay. So anyway, that's the only thing in the code I wanted to show you. The game is pretty much converted, but there is one thing I wanted to say. Now that I have a working 64-bit version of OpenSoF2MP, I am happy to sit and take the time to write all the code necessary to have a fully working version of Soft2 multiplayer. That will take time though. I have an idea. So if there's anyone from Raven ever watching this video, and me converting Euro game engine into 64-bit using the methods that I've shown in this video and the past couple of videos, if that's of interest to you, then contact me and let me know that. My email address is AeonAKF@outlook.com. You can get it on the about page of my channel, AeonAKF@outlook.com. If that's something you're interested in, then just contact me and let me know. I do have 3 conditions of my own. I imagine you have your own conditions, but mine are: number 1, time. And this might seem obvious, but I'm very busy. I do a lot of things, this, that, and the next thing, all that sort of thing. So just do it at my own pace, in my own way. Give me the time to do it, and I'll do it. Number 2 is I would like the game that I convert to be Soft 2. I would do it to completion till you're happy that it's fully converted. I'm happy it's fully converted, and that leads on to condition number 3. I would like to use the converted Soft 2 code in my game that I'm created, Soft 2 Unreal Edition. So, as an add-on, a DLC. So, if you're listening and if that's of interest to you, then just contact me. If it's not, that's okay, that's fair enough. I can continue using the OpenSoF2MP and adding code to that. As for the game that I want to create, I don't really kind of play games anymore. When I played Soft 2 back in the day, there was obviously a lot of games, first person multiplayers at that time: Unreal Tournament, Quake, Doom, Counter-Strike, that sort of thing. But Soft 2 was the one that I really liked, as did my friends, and that's the one that we played. Unfortunately though, the Soft 2 development never continued. And I often wonder, and the question that I'm asking is, where would Soft 2 multiplayer be today if the development had continued and hadn't stopped? What would Soft 2 multiplayer be like today? And that's the game that I want to create. As I say, I don't really play games anymore. I get more enjoyment out of making them. But I do watch gameplay on YouTube. I've watched a bit of COD, and that's quite good, but it's a bit big for one person to create. But I watch a lot of Counter-Strike 2, and I really quite enjoy the way that game has moved on since the days that I knew it in 1.6. And what I want to do is I want to create a game that is to the original Soft 2 multiplayer what Counter-Strike 2 is to Counter-Strike 1.6. That's my plan, that's what I want to do, and I'm going to do that in Unreal Engine. And it is something that will take time, more likely to be years. That's just game development, that's the way it goes. But if anyone from Raven is watching this and listening to this video, and that's something of interest to you, then please contact me, and we'll take it from there. Other than that, I'll just continue development in OpenSoF2MP and just take my time and work away on it. So, I think that's everything I wanted to say. As you can see, the game's pretty much fully converted to 64-bit and working, and we'll just move forward from here. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was interesting. Until next time, see you later.